can you see this person's perspective, but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Hey.
Hello. How are you?
3 days without water. How good can you be? How great? I mean, it's just like,
It is what it is, right?
I'm a pioneer girl.
There you go.
Hauling buckets up.
Girl. I can only imagine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm just going to show up today because I know I'm not alone. There are people without power still. There are people with that are watching. I know that Corinne watches our show and she's in Buffalo. Her car is completely buried. They're on a drive ban.
Oh, wow.
It's just, and you kind of have to, and we both talked about it. We call it life gives you lemons, throws a monkey wrench in the works, or whatever the phrase is, that when life gives you a twist and it goes in a direction that you just weren't planning on. How do you deal with it?
Yeah. When we have to pivot or unfolds in a way that we're either not expecting or don't want or whatever, and we have to pivot, and not getting stuck in that much. It's such a slippery slope of projecting into this whole history of, horrible bad stuff that could happen after this pivot. Really being intentional with how you don't slip onto that slippery slope.
I'm at a place now where I've almost laughed about it. I'm going, what else could there be? What else could there be? And there can always be something else. There can always be, and life is just life. And sometimes things work and sometimes things do not work. And it's nothing that we've done wrong. I mean, karma doesn't come and bite us. People always go, oh, karma will get them or karma will get you and whatever. And that's just not true.
Yeah. I mean, life just sort of has a way of unfolding, and our attachment to any particular moment can very easily attract the next moment. When we're talking about the way that what we put out, we get back. That's the same thing as people talk about karma. What you put out, you get back. Well, what if we just don't blame karma for it? And we just say, if I'm sitting here saying, oh, well, my life sucks because of this, this, and this, and then there's no good in the world, and then there's this, and then there's this, then the next time you miss all the opportunities that are unfolding in front of you that are actually pleasant. And they don't have to be full, fireworks and banner presentations, but there are things that unfold in front of you that are very sweet nuggets. But if our brain is programmed to see just the heaviness, it'll just skim right by that good stuff and go straight to that big armpit.
I'm telling you. That's a great way to put it. Elizabeth, good morning. Still reading, not able to listen, love the captions. And I'm glad you are here. And that's why the replay works really well with our show. And Candy Armstrong is with us. Hi, Candy.
Hello, everyone.
If you're following along on our Facebook, on our YouTube, and my LinkedIn, you guys can tell us where you're watching. Put up a little, just a little note where you're watching us and where you are today. And maybe you're iced in, maybe you're snowed in, maybe
you're on a surfboard.
Maybe, yeah, Candy, she's from the UK. She's checking in. Speaking of Candy, our other Candy Seaton, did a really neat unboxing on her channel yesterday. And on Wednesdays and on Friday nights, she does tapping for anxiety. And I always encourage everybody, if there's something that you found that really helps, we love to share good modalities of care.
Out. There we are. We're back.
Yeah. There was just a little freeze up. But it works in perfectly with our subject matter today.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's right. Doing the pivot when everything, when everything comes down, because, there's such a thing, and I was sharing this with you in a text. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, and we're talking about toxic positivity and how a lot of times we can get looped in on, but it's all good, and and it's good, it's good, it's good, and everything will be okay, and that's great. But sometimes you have to create space to go, you know what, right now in this moment, this stinks. Like I know people that are out there that listen to us and watch us and stuff. And I know there's been car issues, and there's been physical body injuries, and there's been loss of pets, and there's been um broken water pipes, and yeah, and it's not, we don't have to self betray and say it's all good, it's all good. We can say this sucks. I'm
Yeah.
not going to stay here forever, but this moment I just want to acknowledge is not the best moment,
Yeah.
and allow that, and then greet the next one.
Toxic positivity. I want you guys, if you got a place that you can take notes, I always say that we have a lot of write it down moments, and 99.9 of them come from Teri.
You're too kind, my friend.
Well, it's true. And Teri was talking to me about this because I've had a lot of bad things happen in the last week, starting with the death of my beloved spirit horse that I've had for over 30 years. And uh being in a house and my heat doesn't work well, so I've got space heaters or whatever, and then I couldn't get out and get food, and I couldn't see my family over the actual Christmas holiday, and it was just like it pounding all the, and then the water goes down.
Mhm.
And Teri reached out to me, he goes, how are you doing? I said, all I can feel right now is gratitude. And
Mhm.
I swear to you, I attribute that to Teri, who's been able to help me with moving into a place of, well, is it really that bad? What do you have? Let's look in your haves and look in your have-nots. Do you have a place to stay? Yes. Are your bills paid? Yes. Are you relatively happy? Do yes. And those, I call them my Teri tools, but I will say that it really is helpful to have those things. And I don't think that is toxic positivity. It's not what she's talking about. It's talking about gratitude for what you actually do have. And I think
Mhm.
that has helped me move through it. We've got some people checking in. Lee from Louisiana. Hi, Lee.
Hey, Lee.
Corinne, praise God, a high lift worked my block. And she says, oh yeah, it did suck. And I did cry.
Mhm. Mhm.
She's there in Buffalo, and it's been, oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
And that's just like you were talking about, your horse. And in that moment, it doesn't do any good for someone to go, "Oh, Devon, it's okay. I mean, what a beautiful horse she was, and you know, and you got to be with her for so long, and da 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 da, and all that." All that stuff doesn't really help. Is it toxic positivity? Borderline ish, but you can say, yes, that moment, those moments, and even my heart now is still heavy from losing her. Then you also have a full heart because of the 30 plus years that you had with her.
Mhm.
You know personally, no one else may know, maybe I know what all she's got you through, what all she's been there for you for. So that, while that pings the heart and makes it sad, also has an overabundance of gratitude that you got to share this earth with her.
Yeah. It was truly a gift that she was to me, and thank you, Candy, for that. I appreciate it. Elizabeth says sometimes life does suck. I try hard not to grow roots in the sucky, though. I
Mhm.
love,
Absolutely.
that's another write it down one. Elizabeth comes up with those too. Try not to grow roots in the sucky. Johnny Vinoker, always beautiful, always loving you, and loving you right back, JV. Corinne says, always allow yourself to feel it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're not feeling it, you're not healing it. And if you're ignoring it, you're storing it. That's just that.
Okay, I need you to say that again. Not feeling it, you're not healing it. Not
If you're storing it or if you're ignoring it, then you're storing it. And something else that I say to folks often is that if you aren't willing to feel it, then you will feel it. And meaning, if you don't allow yourself to feel those emotions, whether I'm not a fan of good and bad, but whatever they are that show up, if you're not allowing yourself the opportunity to feel those emotions, then you will find a vice to fill it.
Boy, I know that's true. I know that's true. Here we are at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, you'll find something to stuff it with, to void it with. And that's more damage in the long run for us.
And Joyce joins us too. Love that. So true. And it is true. I encourage you guys to write those things down. At the end of the show, we'll recap and bring some of those up. Corinne says, I also allowed myself to cuss out loud.
Yes, girl.
I'm going to tell you, I read something. I follow a lot of these health things on Instagram. And one said, did you know that burst of cussing out loud actually makes you feel better in a bad situation? And apparently I feel good all the time. It's what it is. Oh, my Jilly. Now, Jill, talk about this. Going into the holiday, she had a heart attack.
Okay.
She and let her. I mean, I'm going to tell you, she's my sister. She's my friend, but she went in with. She did not wait. Her brother's a doctor and said, always, take some aspirin, so she had her aspirin, which she credits with saving her life. But she says, these symptoms are not real. She got her son, went to the doctor, and they were able to keep the damage from getting worse. She is well. She had some emergency surgery and she is here. And so God bless you. That's an example of what we're talking about. Sometimes things really are bad, but she didn't go through it going, oh, I had a heart attack. What a terrible Christmas. She says, I'm alive.
Well, and that's the thing. Is it really bad? See, that's the perspective on it. Is it really bad? If she were feeling those symptoms, the symptoms might have been unpleasant, but the symptoms are what got her to the hospital. It saved her life. So,
Thank you, Devon.
That's a big thing.
And I'm so effing grateful.
There you go. There you go.
At least as I feel good too. Cuss like a sailor. These are our people, Teri. These are our people.
That's right. This is our tribe. Yep, absolutely.
Pray for total recovery, Jill. Yes, yes. And she does. She looks fantastic. I mean, it's just,
nice.
When you don't realize how sick you've been and all of a sudden color comes back and you go, whoa, I really was, not doing well, There are a lot of people right now. We've lost a lot of dear ones in the last week. I mean, it's been, I'm constantly thinking the loss of people, the loss of pets. Loss is loss. And people say, oh, but you lost them right here at Christmas. And I heard a beautiful statement. One young lady said, yes, I lost my mother at Christmas. She loved Christmas. What a perfect day for her to decide to go home. And I thought, wow. And they said, we choose to remember her as all of the Christmas stuff. And she celebrated Christmas in heaven. There are those things that though you miss people, you realize, oh, there's another perspective to help me through this.
And whether it's loss of a person or whether it's that you're spending the holidays alone or whatever. I mean, holidays, and I know I'll get some internal eye rolls for this, but the holidays are in the big picture like every other day that we have. So when you lose someone, I get the symbolism and this, the symbolic and all of that. But what I'm saying is, if you lose a loved one on January the 24th, 25th, 26th, or July the 18th, it's the same. It's the same pain, unless you didn't really care about them. I mean, it's the same pain, right?
Right.
So, yes, there can be seasonal glitches that come around. And I say glitches because then for some people, it is tied directly into that season. And we already
Yes.
know, as we talked about last week, we already know, or maybe it was week before last, that um, the seasonal stuff is when our mood stabilizers can sort of shift on us, where depending on where you are, your leaves fall off the trees, it gets cold, we've got time change, it gets dark a little sooner. Then there's the financial pressures of holidays, there's the expectations and all of that. If you're already in sort of a with that, and then you lose someone, then it can almost be like we were talking about earlier, the brain going, well, what else can go wrong? You know,
Amen. Amen.
so we
Amen.
can get stuck in those.
Hmm.
So, and there's also just as much good that happens on any given day, but we have to be willing to see that good, because if we don't train our brain to see that good, it will not see it. It'll just go, it'll look at that sunny day. It'll look at that sunny day. And what will it say? It sure is hot. Rather than, wow, this is such a beautiful day. Such
Yeah.
a beautiful moment right now.
We got
You
a
know,
beautiful day going on right now, and not everybody is blessed with that. So I'm grateful.
sure.
Mona's with us. Love you,
Hey,
ladies. New Year a
Mona.
coming. Candy says so true. And Lee, this is important. If you guys are watching, signs and symptoms of a heart attack for women can be different than those of a man. Not typical. It wasn't the crushing chest pain. It was
Mm-hmm.
she said she knew that when she was hit with a wave of nausea,
Mm-hmm.
that was Jill's sign to go to the doctor. So you got, somebody might need to hear that right now. Jaw pain, upper back pain sometimes
Yeah.
can signal a heart attack in a woman. So be aware of the signs and baby aspirin
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to get you to the hospital. One of the things that I kept thinking, and it kept coming to me, was I comfortable during all this mess? No. But here's what I kept thinking. I do have shelter. It's mine. I am warm. Although I couldn't get out, my food was not my favorite holiday meal as such, but I had food, and I wasn't in a car
Mm-hmm.
with no heat. I wasn't trying to make it through a shelter, with a lot of other people that I didn't know. And there were so many things, and nothing against shelters. I'm really glad that we have warming centers and stations for people to go. I was really blessed that I was able to be the pioneer woman and be in my own home. But, it's just, and Corinne says, I just cooked my Christmas dinner last night.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's a major pivot right there.
Yeah. On my way home on Thursday night, right before all this mess started, I stopped at Cracker Barrel and they had a turkey and dressing dinner. And I thought, something just told me, go ahead and have that turkey and dressing dinner. And I did. And it was my holiday meal. And I didn't even know it at the time.
There you go.
I had it. It was good. It was like, I don't feel like I missed out on anything. That's something else I think that we can bring up too. When you don't let the date make you wait. If you
Mm-hmm.
feel moved to do something, to celebrate something, to experience something, don't let the date make you wait. If you want to have Christmas in July, do that. If you have a loved one that you don't know if they're going to make it till Christmas or whatever, put up that dadgum Christmas tree, put on Christmas music, enjoy the time. Sometimes we save things to the special occasion, and that special occasion never comes. And I think that really helps us when the wrenches get thrown into the machinery.
Mm-hmm. Or the special occasion comes and we've been so dysregulated in all of it that it's not special at that point, because we have found a way to let all that ickiness sort of, root, as as Elizabeth said earlier. We find a way to let it just become, well, here's just one more thing to prove what my belief system is, that there's all bad things happen, or the other shoe is going to fall. I tell clients all the time, there's always going to be another shoe. Always.
Always.
I can assure you of that. Is always going to be another shoe. The good news is, in that other shoe that's going to be dropping, you get to decide if it's a steel toe boot and knocks the shit out of you, or if it's a flip flop. Or maybe it's a sandal with a wedge heel. I'm not sure. Maybe it dinks you, but it doesn't really take you out. But you get to decide those things by the reactions that or by the responses and the reactions that you assign to those experiences.
Oh, true. Joyce says, I eat chili in 100-degree weather. Yes. And Corinne says, I've barbecued in the snow just because. Now I'm going to tell you, my friend Angie W. just joined us. She's my Louisiana friend, and I'm going to tell you, she has been through it. And this year, it's like starting out like the end of last year, like lost her father, and her husband had some really bad health problems. And then the hurricane came and destroyed their house. I mean, all those things. And Angie, Angie has moved through those things. She has a powerful faith. But it's just something. I mean, she's had a hard season, and I love you, Angie. And I know that things are moving on and getting better, but it's hard. Those, I always call it the seasons of goodbye, and goodbye could be people, places, things. And whatever the goodbyes are, those seasons of goodbye are tough.
And I think it's important that we differentiate between when we're talking about a loved one transitioning or passing away. That is in a completely different arena than losing a job, or not that our jobs aren't important, but it's a completely, I don't want people to blur those lines and say, or to think that, well, you just make the best of it. It's really, we would be remiss if we thought that when a loved one passed away that we just are expected to make the best of it, because that's a bit harsh, because we're human beings and we love deeply, and we love, from the full vessel. And so those are not the same thing as, our car not starting, or our pipes bursting. I get it. Car not starting, been there, done that. It's frustrating, and it can completely derail you. Losing your job absolutely can completely derail you. There are so many things that can happen to derail us. That's the things that we're talking about today, that when those things show up in life, then we pivot for those. We find a way of going, okay, well, it's no different than if you're going down a road to get to, you're headed to the market, and you're going down a road and you see a sign that says detour. You follow the detour, right? You don't just go, well, I'm just going to park the car and sit here and wait. You take the detour, you pivot, because you're going to get there. You're just taking a different scene to get there. And in that pivot, unexpected blessings can happen. You may see someone that you haven't seen in a long time. You might see a new store that you haven't seen. You might see a new whatever plant, a new whatever. There's so many things that you can see. And by just being willing to pivot and not seeing our pivots as a, what's that?
No. Go ahead, finish.
I don't hear.
Did you not hear me?
I was just going to say, not seeing our pivots as something bad, seeing our pivot as an opportunity.
See our pivot as an opportunity. That's another one. I got lots of notes today. One of the things that Angie said, one day at a time, love you too, only God. And that's true. Having that power greater than ourselves to put our, hang on to. I always say those, as we're climbing the mountain, having those handholds and those hooks and those things along the way, that's what God is for me. I just like I always have something I can grab a hold of, and that's what helps me through. Nan Cassidy joins us. Nan also has experienced
Hello,
some
Nan.
loss this year. Joyce shares, I remember when I lost my mother, my husband was a big pain back then, and I'll never forget him telling me I need to get over it. Because it was making me sad for several days, but I was terribly close to my mother. I talked to her every day. Well, you can't just get over that,
Right.
you know.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm awestruck by it. Made me sad for several days.
uh-huh.
Yeah. That's that's typical. So yeah, it's a game changer in your life. And so Joyce, whenever and I say this to everyone, whenever you lose someone, it's not about, no one has the right to tell you to get over it. Nobody. Um, that's not a slam on your husband, Joyce. I'm just saying that no one ever has the right to tell us to get over something like
Yeah.
that. That is another one of those, what we're willing to receive and what we're not. And when someone gives information, gives not a compliment, gives information, gives suggestion, gives whatever our way, we can say no, thank you. I'm not. That's not taking up residency inside me.
Corinne, who's been captive in her home in Buffalo this entire season, when I reached my breaking point and started crying, then the power came back on and my tears turned to praise. It's just those moments where we just break down. It's so true. I found my favorite restaurant by making a wrong turn.
There you go.
At first was frustrated for making the wrong turn, stopped to eat. Now it's my regular stop.
See, Lee, there's so many opportunities when we pivot, that we can. I tell people often, things don't happen to us; they happen for us.
Yeah.
A lot of times we can have this mind against us. Everything is against us. The world's against us. That's not true. We have to really be accountable in that and look at like how much energy we're going to give that, because there's so much good going on in our worlds individually. Even on the times, life is, the one consistent is that it's inconsistent.
Angie says everyone grieves at their own pace.
Mm-hmm.
And Mona adds, you never get over loss. You grieve through it and live with it. Sometimes it eases, sometimes it hits hard. You have to embrace the moment and just feel it. Prayers for everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
this time of year, we get reflective. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? I mean, we get those times where we get a little sad this time of year. I have just gotten to where I can get through a whole day without a meltdown. Oh, bless you, Nan. Just bless you. It is that process. And for
It
me,
is.
year one, and for those that just know, I mean, that's Teri and I connected when my father died. And my first year was adrenaline, but second year, bam. And that's when she had reached out to me, but second year I reached out to her. And
Mm-hmm.
Angie said there are no coincidences, and God provides divine delays, even in our impatience. Oh, that's the truth.
Well, and on the note of grieving, for those of you who don't know, that's the crux of what my practice is about as a grief and loss specialist. It's really a crime or a shame that you have to even call yourself a specialist in grief, because that kind of sucks. But what I can tell you is this: it is such an individual process. And I know that sometimes we have loved ones that have truly the best intentions. They don't want to see you suffering. They don't want to see you in pain. They don't want to see you sad. They don't want to see you that way for you, but they also don't want to see you that way because it affects them. And it's really important in those times to find your vocabulary, to share with them what you need, and also to understand that if you need them to, you know, take a back seat to the "you're going to be okay and can I do anything for you," because you can be asked that a million times and there's really nothing anybody can do for you. So, being able to articulate what your needs are, and also honoring your process of grief, because some people move through grief quickly. Some people move through grief slower, but grief is not one of those things that, I mean, it is always there. It's not one of those things that when it knocks on your door, you can shut the door and it goes away. Once you've seen it, once you've experienced it, it becomes a part of you and you live with
Right.
it. And so I tell people to befriend it. It's going to show up prickly sometimes, and it's going to be a booger to walk with sometimes, but befriend it and know that, you know, it might not be your choice of a sidekick for the moment, but it is a process and you won't get through it fighting it. You just won't. So honoring yourself in that journey is so important.
It is. And we are here every week, and grief comes into our conversations often because it is the catalyst for a lot of other things. Like you said, if you don't feel it, you will feel it. And we talk about those things here. I did want to mention Jill who suffered a heart attack right before Christmas. For women, pressure, not necessarily pain, to pay attention to the symptoms. Oh, by the way, the doctor said I was having an anxiety attack. I had a colonoscopy the week before. My EKG was normal. I had 2 EKGs when I got to the ER. Both were normal. I was not confirmed that I had an MI until they did blood work and checked my enzymes. So be on alert. Know your body, and stick with that. Jill, I'm just so glad that you were that way and that you held on and said, no, this is not right. This is not right. Well, you guys were here each and every week on Wednesday, and thank you all for being here. Man, it was an active group today.
Yes. And we're gonna see each other in the new year now. Like next week will be 2023. So for all you folks that still write checks out there, me, start practicing that 23 now, or else like me, you'll probably write 22 on some of them. I love writing checks. There's something just, I don't know, love it.
You are so funny. I love it.
I love writing checks. But, well, you know, and don't get hung up on the new year having to be some huge, big thing. You know, it's an opportunity for us to step into, you know, a new season.
Yeah. And for those of you who are with us, who would like to be part of.
And if you are doing resolution, look at that. Just as I said, if you are doing resolutions, it went down on us. If you are doing resolutions, I would encourage you to create goals or resolutions that are attainable. You don't have to go like some people say, I'm going to get off social media. So they go and they delete all their apps and then they have withdrawals. Limit yourself. You know, if it's a healthy, you know, instead of saying you're going to go on a diet, I'm just choosing to be healthier. Healthier can be in any arena. It can be in communication. It can be in food. It can be in finance. It can be in, you know, your spiritual path. It can be in all different places, you know, so be careful how you limit yourself, because the brain, if you've set these goals in the past and perhaps you didn't reach them, the brain is going to go, oh, okay, well, that's awful sweet. You're going to try that again. And then immediately we start going, oh, this isn't going to work. So potty train your brain.
Oh, see, there's another one. Oh, that's great. Potty train your brain. And there's always another shoe. If you're not feeling it, you're not healing it. If you're ignoring it, you're storing it. Toxic positivity. Those are some of the buzzwords of today that we can wrap around. Corinne says her resolution is less Amazon.
There you go. I
love that. So anyway, we're having our reboot at Teri's office January 14th for I think it's January 14th. It's not January the 14th.
I believe it is.
The
second Saturday in January.
Yeah, second Saturday. If you would like to be a part of there, we're limited at like 8 people. So if you'd like to be a part of it, they can go to transcendingturbulence.com and make a reservation.
No, actually, they can go to Teri at
teripew.com.
Text or an email. I don't have it set up on my webpage because it is for 8. And I have a lot of people call me and go, I need a wait list. I need a wait list. I don't do wait lists. We just do another workshop at another time that works for us.
Yeah.
So you can reach out to me, 615-513-2700. I'll post that information underneath this later today. If you're interested, it's going to be from 10 until 3 on January the 14th.
We have
There'll
so
be more
much
information.
fun.
We do have fun, don't we?
We drink cozy cups of warm stuff, and we bring a sack lunch. We made it really easy. We were going to try to cater it and all that. What are we doing? Everybody just brings what they want to eat, and we have our little break, and it's just, you leave feeling just lifted. It's so good. And we're not, last time we did it all for women only, but this time we're just going to open it. If you guys want to be part of it as well. And we just talk about the stuff that we talk about here, but only in a more one-on-one.
Yeah. And it's more about how we reboot. How do we take these things, these, whether it's beliefs, whether it's patterns, habits, our go-tos, our automatic pilot, how do we take those and adjust them? How do we pivot with those just a little bit so that we're living and leading the life that we feel best fits us?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we put our contact information below. If you have a topic you want to discuss in the coming year, you have questions about anything we have talked about, and I say it every time, if you want a great coach to help you through the tough times, life's turbulence, transcending turbulence, is Teri Pugh, and she saved my life over and over again, and her words are so helpful. I tried therapy a lot. I've been to a lot of different people, and it never helped. She did. And so, I mean, I cannot say, it's the best money you will ever spend for you. And it's an investment in your spirit and your soul. So there you go.
Well, I appreciate you for that.
Well,
I appreciate you for that. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to say you were willing to show up and do the work. I do have a different approach than most people have, but that's because it was whispered in my ear a long, long time ago before I ever came here. So, I love what I do, and I love you, and I appreciate all of you folks joining us and sharing with us, because without you, this just wouldn't even be a thing. Well, it'd be a thing, but it'd be pretty boring. Well, maybe not boring, because Devon and I are pretty lively. So, I mean, we could just do this at home, though, over FaceTime or the phone. But it's so much funner to have all you guys and gals in here with us, because we do appreciate you, and we appreciate you choosing to spend your time with us.
And all you guys have given us great words. Dennis checking in, and Nan saying Happy New Year. She's going to be here more in the coming year. I love that. Love you too, Nan. Joyce, wonderful to have you guys. So share this with people that you think it might help. And Teri, you want to take us home?
Absolutely. Well, I've already said we appreciate everybody. So ditto to that again. And until we see you again, which will be next Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time, Eastern. Or why did I just say that? Talk about a brain fart. Noon Central Time. We'll pivot on that. We hope that you all take opportunities to create memorable moments that result in sustainability in your happiness and your health. And so until we see you next week, increase your